Welcome to the MX vs. ATV Unleashed training videos. Before you hit the track, you're going to need some basic motocross and ATV riding skills. Press the gas button to accelerate and use the brake button to bring the bike or ATV to a stop. You can steer the bike or ATV using the D-pad or left thumbstick. You can shift the rider's weight forward and back on the bike or ATV by leaning the rider using either the D-pad or the left thumbstick. A good example of when you need to lean the rider is when riding through a bumpy section of track known as the whoops. As you approach a whoop section, lean the rider back to raise the front end of the bike or ATV slightly. This technique will help you carry more speed through these challenging sections of track. You can also use the lean of the rider to ride on the front or rear tires of the bike or ATV. To ride a wheelie, press the gas and lean the rider all the way back on the bike or ATV. To ride a stoppie, lean the rider forward while coming to a stop. Be careful not to lean too far or your rider will lose his balance and crash. MX vs. ATV Unleashed has a powerful clutch feature that allows you to get the most acceleration out of the bike or ATV. To use the clutch, tap the clutch button and lean the rider back to add weight to the rear of the bike or ATV. If you time it correctly, the bike or ATV will blast off the starting grid much faster than using the gas by itself. Now let's learn about techniques for turning the bike or ATV. There are two ways to use the banked turning berms you'll find around the track. The easiest way to turn is called riding the berm. To do this, simply turn the bike or ATV onto the berm and let the natural banking of the berm help turn the bike or ATV. Sometimes you are better off using a more technical approach to turning the bike known as squaring up the turn. This technique involves using the brakes and the clutch. To square up a turn, approach the berm at a much shallower angle than if you were planning on riding the berm. As the front tire of the bike or outside tire of the ATV strikes the base of the berm, hit the brakes and steer hard to one side using either the D-pad or the left thumbstick. The bike or ATV will slide around and line up with the next section of track. At that moment, use the clutch and lean the rider back to blast out of the turn and into the next section of track. Inside turning berms are much smaller than outside turning berms, and they almost always require you to use the brakes and square up the turn. As you continue to ride, you'll develop a better sense for which turns to rail and which ones to square up. Once you've gotten your basic riding skills on, it's time to take to the air. The two most important things to learn about jumping the bike or ATV are how to preload the suspension and how to control the bike or ATV in the air. Suspension preloading is a way of using the suspension of the bike or ATV to get extra lift off the face of a jump, which allows you to fly farther. To preload off the face of a jump, press down on the D-pad or left thumbstick when you're at the base of the jump, then quickly press up. You have to complete the motion before the tires leave the ground. The preload meter displays the amount of preload you generated. If you find yourself over-jumping certain sections of track, try preloading a little bit less. Once you get in the air, you still have quite a bit of control over the bike or the ATV. Leaning the rider left and right will whip the bike or ATV in the air. You can make minor adjustments to your flight path by whipping the bike or ATV in the direction you'd like to travel. Make sure that you straighten out before you hit the ground and even try to pitch the bike or ATV so that all tires touch down safely at the same time. Catching some insane air off a huge triple jump just begs for some high-flying acrobatics. The trick system used in MX vs. ATV Unleashed allows you to string together multiple tricks into long combos and even land tricks no-handed. To bust a single trick, press any combination of the trick buttons and choose one of 4 directions with either the D-pad or left thumbstick. You can extend tricks mid-flight for extra points by holding the trick button as you fly through the air. Make sure that all of the tricks that you command can be completed before you land or you will crash. These days, tricks by themselves aren't good enough. It's time to learn how to backflip and 360 the bike or ATV. You can pull off the backflip using the following method. If you mastered it last year, pay attention as there has been a slight change. As you approach the face of a jump, Press and hold the stunt modifier button, then press up on the D-pad or left thumbstick, then quickly press down on the D-pad or left thumbstick. You can actually combine backflipping and suspension preloading by pressing up, down, up quickly on the D-pad or left thumbstick. Once the backflip is in motion, you can release the stunt modifier button and lean the rider forward to slow it down and lean back to speed up the rate of rotation. Once you're comfortable with the basic backflip, start throwing tricks on top of the backflip during the rotation. That's one key to really big trick points. A new trick that has been added this year is the 360. Dubbed as one of the hardest tricks in freestyle, it is just as big of a challenge in MX vs. ATV Unleashed 2. The steps to a successful 360 are based on the same steps as the backflip. As you approach the face of a jump, press and hold the stunt modifier button, then to do a 360 to the right, press left on the D-pad or left thumbstick, then quickly press right on the D-pad or left thumbstick. If you press and hold the stunt modifier button, then press right on the D-pad or left thumbstick, then quickly press left on the D-pad or left thumbstick, you will do a 360 to the left. Once the 360 is in motion, you can release the stunt modifier button and lean the rider in the opposite direction to slow down the rotation and lean in the same direction to speed up the rotation. It is difficult to master how to control the spin, but as soon as you do, you will be reaping the rewards. Throwing another stunt on top of this is just icing on the cake. MX vs. ATV Unleashed offers a depth of great racing features on the outdoor national tracks, indoor supercross tracks, short tracks, hill climbs, machine challenges, open class, and even supermoto. You can turn practice laps, run single races, play some classic ghost racing, or even go explore the world in freeride mode. Also, the in-game menu allows you to quickly change tracks, race modes, and activities without having to return to the main menu. Freestyle offers 3 new sets of competitions this year. In High Score Challenge, you have to bring your A game to win by having the highest amount of points at the end of the time limit. Here, anything goes, so reach deep into your bag of tricks. Combo Challenge is similar to the High Score Challenge, but with a twist. Your score only goes up by completing unique combo sets instead of individual tricks. This means you will have to step up and do multiple tricks in a single jump. Finally is Follow the Leader. When you start, you will see icons on the left of the screen that indicates which button sequence you will need to do. As you complete a sequence, a new one will pop into the list. Completing all of the sequences before the clock expires will determine the winner. The Championship mode in MX vs. ATV Unleashed is the key to unlocking all of the tracks, game modes, and bike classes the game has to offer. There are 4 different championships you can enter, each offering a great challenge. You can rip through a Supercross or National Championship on an ATV or motocross bike. Whatever your weapon of choice is, you must remain sitting in a transferring position at the end of each week to continue on. This means 4th place or better overall. New to the Supercross Championships this year are practice, heat races, last chance qualifiers, and of course, the main event. Each week, you will first be taken to a practice session to see if you can get a better gate choice. You may choose to skip this, but doing well here will give you a better gate selection at the starting line for your next race. Next up is your heat race. Placing second or better here will transfer you directly to the main event. If you manage to place outside of the top 2 positions but not last, your next race will be the last chance qualifier. Last place? Well, you'll have to pack it up. In the last chance qualifier, 2nd place or better will allow you to go on to the main event. The National Championships have changed to a 2-moto race format. Each week, you will be racing 2 individual motos that will award you points towards the overall standings for that week. Stay in a top 4 transferring position in the overall points to move on to the next week. A 3-lap practice session is given each week as well. After the first week of racing, depending on your current position, you may be pre-seated for gate selection. In addition to all of these changes are the all-new challenges. At any given time, after every other week of racing, you might be presented with a challenge. These are unique offerings that, if won, will give you a great reward. Once unlocked, these are yours for the keeping. If you choose to skip the challenges to keep on racing, you can always go back to the challenges page and try to win all of them.